Hold on tight for the next hour. You're entering into a place, a zone called the alternative to the alternative media. It's a place, a special place where even truth seekers fear to tread.
All right, people, let's move like we've got a purpose.
Affirmative.
Okay, glad you're back on this Tuesday. What is it? October 7th, 1961. I told you I was time traveling. Remember my last show? But really, it's 2017 in your world, 1961 in mine. And I've moved from 1947, where I was about a week ago, and moving to 1961, and I'm now viewing the Kennedy assassination. Did it happen in 61? Maybe I got my year. Yeah, I think it did. I can't ever get my days straight. I'll have to look at a newspaper. I'm over in Texas right now. You know where it happened. But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. I can just stop time for a minute, like I told you, and let's move into 2017. I'll get back to really what happened in the Kennedy assassination. Eyewitness, right there. Here I am. Okay, it's a Tuesday. Tuesday gets the bad rap for the days of the week, doesn't it? I mean, everybody forgets about Tuesday. Monday, everybody talks about I hate Mondays. Wednesday's the hump day. Friday, I love you. And Thursday, Saturday, Sunday are the fun days. So Tuesday and Thursday really get screwed, I think. So we've got to figure out a way. Well, they get Thursday night football. But who watches football anymore? People decided, the NFL is playing a game with us, And what they're doing is they're playing this card that, there's patriots and there's people who hate America, just play football and forget about it. I mean, how much money? You can make so much money. I don't really care what you do. So Tuesday, Thursday, get a bad rap. We got to figure out some way to lift them up and make them a better day of the week, don't you think? Now, today is Tuesday. It's kind of a dull day, isn't it? And in fact, it's the second day after they changed the time, which is really annoying, isn't it? I mean, I haven't yet. I usually did it in half-hour increments, but it usually takes me a few weeks to really get into it. I think they do it to just screw with us, because there's no reason to do it. I mean, it's dark at 5. Why? And it's light at 6. Now think about it. I use more lights tonight than I will at 5 in the morning, or 6 in the morning. When it was before, before and the other time. I didn't use many lights. I use more lights at night. So why did they do it? Power companies do it to make more money? Who knows? But anyway, the show is not, on my show, we deal with a lot of big subjects, right? Things we can never solve. We can understand them, but really never solve them. And what I mean by that is, how are you going to take down the Vatican-led New World Order Jesuits? I mean, it's near impossible. But we talk about it so you can understand what you're living in, right? So today, why don't we talk about things that we can control for a little while? See how far I can go with it. Let's start out. These are the things. I think there needs to be a lawsuit on this, and I'm sure there are. And it probably doesn't affect everyone. But when you have cell phone coverage, they say you can buy an unlimited plan. But unlimited doesn't mean unlimited if you read the fine print. And it especially affects people who buy international long-distance unlimited plans. Whether you're in Italy or Canada or whatever, and you go and you stay in those places for a while, you really get screwed, because you start learning that unlimited isn't unlimited, and they will cancel your plan like they did with mine. And this is why I'm bringing it up. Now, when you say the word unlimited, it should mean unlimited. But I've got a note, because I live out of the country, but yet have an unlimited plan for Europe, Canada, Mexico, the whole shot. And I pay a pretty hefty sum for it because I use my internet off it. But I got a text message stating that I had exceeded my off-network coverage, and my international long distance will be canceled. Now, I didn't pay any attention to it because I get a lot of those things, and I called the company, and they used to say, well, they'll just don't pay attention to it. You have an unlimited plan. So I didn't. But this time, all of a sudden, one day I wake up and I have no phone service at all. No, none. And so goes the battle. So I called the company and I said, this seems rather strange to me, but I have no service, but yet you took my auto pay payment for the next month as of the 6th. That was yesterday. So I said, now I have a phone I can't use because I live outside of the States, but yet you've charged me. And I bought an unlimited international plan. So they said, well, let me see what we could do. This went on for, wasted like 3 hours of my life. But these are the little things that really, I think, drive people over the wall, right? Into insanity. So, guess what happens? I don't know if you've ever had this problem. So guess what happens? They come back on the line and they say, you have to call this number. And they gave me the 800 number. And they'll solve it. They're the off-network people. So I call the off-network people, and there are no people there. They are just they have a message, and then they tell you everything, where to go, where to read, the fine print. And then they tell you, if you want to get any resolution on this, send us your name, your phone number, and your email, and we'll respond in 2 days, within 2 business days. So what else? So I called the company back. I said, hey, you told me to call, but there's no people there. I can't get any resolution. I'd like to use my phone today. I use it for business. Well, there's nothing we can do. And then for the third call, that's the second call. Then the third call, I figured, well, maybe I can get somebody who knows what they're doing. So I got this person that doesn't really speak English well, but she was probably the best of all. But at the end, she lied and said, oh, I talked to the people over there. They said they're working on it. And I said, well, give me their number. Let me talk to the person that you talked to. She said, okay, I'll connect you. She connects me to the same voice message, right? And you go through the whole, hit number 1 if you get this problem. So you sit there now paying for a service where you can't use, and they're using the fine print to basically get away with it, right? Now, what do? Well, you wait 2 days, and then you're going to probably hear, we don't want to renew your service, so you have to get another one. Now, to get an American service from where I live now, I got to go back to America, right? And I can't go back. It's a long flight. So what do? Oh, you get the service in the country you're in. But then when you try to get unlimited there, it costs you a fortune. So you're it's ridiculous. Now, those are one of the little problems we can solve. Now, how do you solve it? I guess you got to realize that the word unlimited doesn't mean unlimited, and to watch these guys. And I guess I don't know. I'll let you know in the next couple of days if I ever get a phone. And you can't live without a phone anymore. Can you? I can't call anybody. I can't. I can't even, I said, well, go find a Wi-Fi. So, yeah, I'm going to sit in Starbucks for the rest of my life, right? Okay. That's one problem. What's another little problem we can try to solve today? Do you have any little ones you can try to solve? I've got hundreds of them. But never even the little problems you seem to be able to solve, right? It always ends up, especially in America, in court. No one deals with people anymore. It's all this kind of, unlimited, but doesn't mean unlimited doesn't mean unlimited. So I asked him, I said, well, how do you determine what's not unlimited? If it's unlimited, there can't be anything else. Well, you overused your data. I go, well, that's why I got the unlimited plan. Because I like to overuse data. I didn't want to get any other. That's what you pay for. Well, we connect with another company, and if we have to pay too much to the other company, then it doesn't pay to have your service. I said, well, why don't you tell me that? It's not unlimited. They don't want to get into that because they have no excuse. Well, just call. I said, well, you charged me for a month, and I can't use the phone, so what do I do? I said, I can cancel my service right now because it's month to month. And they said, well, then you're going to lose your phone number. Well, hell, I'll wait another 2 days and see what happens. So these are some of the little things that we go through in our life that drive people, I think, over the wall. All right, so what else can we think of? Okay, since we're on telephones and most people use them more than they use any other form of communication, I'm convinced of it, and internet phones and all this kind of stuff. But when you think about it, why, if you have a phone and you want to change your, we're getting into phone service here, but this is another little problem because if you have a phone service with the company and you want to change it, you've already verified who you are. So why do you have to, if you want to change your service, actually go into a store when their whole service means do it online? Can you accept that? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So we have phones that are obsolete. Another one, since we're on the phone service, you ever get into the unlocking business of a phone? Have you ever had this problem? I have an iPhone 6 sitting in my drawer that cost me $300. And I bought it when I had a Verizon plan before I realized I was leaving the country. Well, I figured Verizon, a big carrier, has got to cover where I was going at the time, which was only 80 miles outside of San Diego. Guess what? They wouldn't cover it. And they said, we don't cover that area. So I said, well, I just bought a phone because my other phone crapped out. What can I do? Well, you'll have to get another service. I said, okay, I'll go get another service. So I went to the other carrier. I was still in the States at the time. And the carrier says, okay, let's do it. Then they say, there's a problem. Your phone is locked. I go, what do you mean locked? I bought it for $300. It's my phone. No, this carrier won't let it be unlocked. Now, that spent about, I don't know how many hours of my life. So I called the carrier back. And they said, well, since you bought this phone only 2 months ago, you have to stay with us for a year or we will not unlock the phone. I said, but you don't have coverage where I'm going. They said, well, that's not important. I said, listen, I've been a customer of yours for 3 years. I just bought another phone because the other one broke. Did you have a warranty? Well, no, it was an old phone. I mean, what would it have mattered? No, because you buy that phone and they stick you with this, oh, you got to stay with us for a year on that phone. I said, well, what can I do? They said, nothing. You'll have to get another phone. I said, I don't want to buy another phone. I just spent $300. So I went around the block. I went all over. Can you, there's these unlocking. We can unlock anything. Oh, we can't unlock this company. They're lock proof. So anyway, I got this iPhone sitting in my drawer. I can't use it unless I go back to that service, or I can get on the internet, which I don't want to do, and say, oh, if you have this service, you can buy this phone for nothing. So basically, it's no good. That's one of these little problems you can't solve either. So we're talking about big problems that you can't solve, but I'm telling you, in the world we live in, that's so technologically oriented, you can't solve little problems anymore, let alone the big ones. And you can spend your whole life dealing with these things, and that gets you hooked on it. So, let me give you an example. My business, I have to be on the internet. So how am I doing this? Well, I'm taping the show, and then I will put it on a USB drive, and then I will have to go to Starbucks or something and find some internet, and then send it to the radio station, because I can't even use my telephone to do it. And, technology will take you and throw you for a loop. You'll spend, and I don't know how many hours I'm going to spend trying to solve this. But it's crazy. I mean, I was thinking the other day, wouldn't it be great? Maybe I shouldn't have wished for this, because I was thinking, God, wouldn't it be great to live in the 1800s? Well, I guess I am right now living in the 1800s. I guess my wish came true. But how can you live in the 1800s when you're living in 2017 with all of this stuff? And then, I have to listen to the radio sometimes, even overseas. And guess what? You get American radio, and I hear the richest man in the world is Jeff Bezos of Amazon. Now, what does he do? He decided to sell products over the internet at a cheaper price and deliver them to you without you seeing them, and get rid of all of our shopping centers in the same time and put all the money in his pocket. And secondly, he's not a big philanthropist either. None of these guys are. Then they said, well, he doesn't give any money to anybody. He's very cheap. How can a guy be cheap when he's got billions of dollars? Then they said, well, look at the other guy, the Microsoft wizard. You know who that is. He is given so much money, he's fallen out of the top people, richest people in the world. Oh, yeah? I'd like to bet on that. What has he done? He's tried to get everybody in the world vaccinated to kill him. That's what he's done. So we got huge problems. You can't, I don't know. But I don't know if I don't like Amazon, to be honest with you. I don't like shopping like that. I don't care if you save $3. I'd like to see what I buy. How can you buy a pair of shoes when you don't try them on? These are little problems you can solve. And you can bring back the mom and pop stores. But how many people even think that way? Oh, I'm going to save $10, and then I'm going to go to Amazon, and I'm going to get Jeff Bezos really rich. But in the meantime, how many stores are closing down? Pretty soon, what they're going to use these shopping malls for, and other detention centers, I'm going to be sitting in Sears, where I used to buy things when I was a kid. Now I'm going to be sitting there in some detention center because they're closing all these shopping centers because Amazon has taken over. And I don't know what the fascination is to shop online. I really don't. What happens if your computer goes down like mine? Are you going to have to go to a store? But then there'll be no stores. So that's another little problem we can't solve either. We can't solve the problem of even shopping. What about the food we eat? Amazon wants to sell the food over the internet. I've heard that. I think they're trying to buy out some stores and then do that. Are you going to buy food like that? Give me a break. My favorite time when I was shopping was when I lived years ago in Italy. Every day I would shop. I didn't have a refrigerator for 7 years. Can you live like that? Sure. I lived great because everything was cold and then I cooked it that night, and the next day I'd go spend a little time shopping in the little stores. And everybody, you go to the bread store, you go to the meat store, you go to the fish store, you go to the vegetable store, you go to the fruit stand. Everybody gets to know you. You know where you're getting your fruit. You can actually feel a good pear. You can actually do these things that human beings do. So we can't even solve the problems of eating anymore. We can't solve the problems of the air we breathe. I was reading articles lately, and they've really pushed this on the mainstream. And it's a story about how Stupid people are believing that chemtrails exists. And they tried to push this off as, and this was a mainstream story, that these are contrails from jet airliners. And and people are going to believe that. Then you look up at the crisscross sky and you then talk to people who followed. They're not jet airliners. They're planes loaded with all that toxic stuff, and it is chemtrails. But we can't even solve the air we breathe anymore. We can't solve even the water we drink. We don't know what we're getting in those bottles. It used to be you could drink the water out of your tap, or, the only way you're going to do it is if you dig your own well and then test. Most water needs to be tested, and most of it's toxic. Did you ever watch, I was listening to a Hopi Indian talk about when they were here, when they were 64, when the Indians were 64 million or 100 strong, they're down to like 300,000. They could drink right out of a stream. Now they can't. Now we can't solve the water we drink. I don't even think we can solve where we live. And what I mean by that is most people don't even know that the earth isn't round. So we have so many little problems we could solve that we can't, that it seems almost as if we talk all the time about the big ones, that the little ones just get pushed under the rug and drive people crazy till they go insane. So, I spend my life as a journalist talking about big stories, right? Jesuits infiltrate religions. Then I talk about how the political spectrum is all wacky. And then I talk about all these things. But it's a trickle-down effect, because the big problems don't get solved. And if you leave it in the hands of these people, the little problems that you have in your life have become magnanimous that you can't solve either. I don't ever think I'll solve this phone problem. And I'm stuck. And that shouldn't be. And I paid $65 this month for that phone. And they won't let me use the phone. But they said there's nothing I can do. Yeah, because they got your money. Now, I had to set up an auto pay because of my distance. But, it's just insane when you think about all the little things, these roadblocks they set up that we can't solve. I remember I talked to a woman one time. She was an old elderly lady in San Diego when I was still there. And she was charged with jaywalking at 5:30 in the morning and she was a white woman, by a Mexican or a Latin. I'm not saying there's racism here, but she said he was a very ornery guy. And she said, there's nobody on the road. I'm taking a little walk here in the morning before people get on the street. He charged her with jaywalking. She refused to pay. And the court fees were getting up into the $10,000 range, and they were going to arrest her when I met her, and she was in tears. She said, I didn't really think I did much wrong. And I said, well, why didn't you pay it? She said, because this guy was really nasty to me, and I wanted to let the judge know, but he didn't care about that. So that little problem, can you imagine that happening? Remember the movie To Kill a Mockingbird, that little town that Atticus lived in with his kids and how they ran around and had all that fun? Can you imagine if there were a number of old women in that show got the sheriff in town, pulled her in for jaywalking? Now, I could see, things, take it a stretch a little bit. It's 5:30 in the morning. There's not a car on the road. She's an older lady. She wants to save a little bit of her leg, so she crosses in the middle. And this cop has the audacity. And she said, it's because I was white. Okay, reverse discrimination. I don't know. Back in 3 minutes on the Investigative Journal.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet. or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The following program is labeled dangerous and off limits by the supreme Jesuit command. But stand tall, people. Listen up, and you may just learn something.
Oh, dear Lord Jesus, this ain't happening, man. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
Okay, Greg Anthony back here. Okay, did I fail to mention the date? Yeah, it's November 7th, 2017. I always like to do that so that I can have a diary of what I'm doing, because I travel so much now. You know, I'm time traveling. And I was in 1947 as of my other show, and I moved up to 61, and right now I'm trying to get a beat on the Kennedy assassination, and I'm right there in Dealey Square, but I'm a day early. Okay, I got to figure out how to do this. And people said, see, that's my machine making that noise. How do you do it? I said, well, if Tesla could do it, I did. And I did it in my garage. I got an old go-kart out. And I attached wires to the electrical wires. And I put them through tinfoil and holes I made with my gym shoes. And I sat there in the thing. And then I had a electrical charger that magnified the electricity. And I got that from somebody that's very electrically minded. And I put my 2 dogs in there, and we're all on our way. 2 little puppies. So people said, well, how can you do your show in 1947? Well, I didn't. I shot up to 2017 for this show. Then I'll shoot back. So I got the date marked. So I have to go back, though, to the day before the Kennedy assassination. So you're going to have to come back tomorrow. I'll stay there. I'll witness it. And then I'll come back and tell you really what happened. Because I'm going to put myself right near that storm drain where that guy was, and hopefully the CIA won't shoot me. Then I'll never get back. And maybe I should, what if I changed the Kennedy assassination? And I actually put right before he was going to shoot, I put a blinder down there or something. I dropped some, anything. I could block that little storm drain. He can't get a beat on Kennedy. Kennedy lives, the world's changed, and look what I did. I might try that. But anyway, we'll see what happens. But I can't report on it because I'm a day early, so now I'm back in 2017. And people go, Greg, really, is this radio station driving you crazy? What are you talking about? No, not at all. I've been doing this show for a long time, talking about serious subjects. And here we are today talking about little things that we can't even solve. That's why I talk about the big things. So I got tired of these little things. I got so many little problems right now that I can't solve. And I bet you there's a lot like you have. Have you ever had a problem with the mass transit systems when you try to go somewhere and you don't have the right ticket, or you just, it gets insane. They'll throw you right off. I don't want to even get into that one because I use a lot of trains where I'm at now. At least when I'm at in 2017. But I can't tell you where I'm at because the Jesuits are after me. And they found out I was in Mexico, so I had to leave there. And then I had to go somewhere else, which I can't divulge, but I figured they'd find out. Because they get this crazy, that's another thing. On your phone, you got this GPS system, so I turned it off. Somehow it magically turns on again, and it says, rate your experience at this restaurant. How'd they know I was at this restaurant? Because I turned the GPS off. Somebody answered me, that's another little problem. They know where you're at. So finally I just said I'll take the battery out of my phone anywhere I go and use it only where I'm there. But then they're going to check that, right? Well, hopefully they haven't caught up to me, but that's really why I started time traveling. One step ahead of them. I don't know if they've mastered it like I have. So, I'm sure they'll be coming after me to learn the little techniques. I tell you, very simply, you got to get the right pair of gym shoes, the right amount of tinfoil, and the right electrical charger that'll magnify all of the electricity you pull from the electrical lines. It's not that hard. And it transports you into a different dimension. Thank God I'm there. And 1947 was really nice. Should I tell you a little bit about it? The food actually tasted much better. I had myself some grits, cornmeal, and actually had milk that tasted like milk. Yes. And it was actually homegrown stuff. No toxic chemicals. I didn't see one chemtrail. I really didn't. I didn't see, the water was pretty cool. I asked these people, well, how do you drink your water? And they said, what? We just drink it. I said, well, that's good. We put it in our mouth and we drink it. Do you have bottled water? They go, well, why would you have bottled water? Because it's gotten toxic. No, the water's clean. Hey, go right to that. I was in an area and I saw these kids playing and they were drinking the water right out of a little creek, or crick, as they called it. And they were catching fish and then they bring them home and eat them. Now you catch a fish. You ever go to the bay in San Diego? They got this big warning. Do not eat the fish you catch. Well, what the hell do you catch them for? Oh, it's just sport. Well, what are they, toxic fish? Oh, they tell you they're this and this and this. Watch out for these chemicals. I said, do you guys know about hepatitis A? And they go, what's that? Oh, there's a big outbreak. Where? I said, in San Diego. In San Diego? Where's? Oh, and I forgot. I was talking about 2017. But I found there was a lot more disease. I asked them, I said, what is cancer? They didn't really understand cancer. There weren't many people that came down with cancer in this little town, because I went and did a little walked through, as I did as a journalist. I said, anybody you know have cancer in this little town in Canada? I'm not saying the town, the city, the country. Well, it's America. They said, no, we don't know. No one's ever had it. I said, oh. Could it have something to do with the bad food, the bad water, the bad atmosphere, the bad everything that the Vatican-led New World Order has put upon us? And they put out articles in 2017 saying, oh my goodness, people that believe in chemtrails are crazy conspiracy theorists. And they estimated that many Americans believed in this crazy thing. And then they tried to say why it was crazy. And their only argument was that these were contrails. But that they can't, how many times do I have to say that a contrail dissipates very quickly? And if you got people that go up and actually look 33,000 feet up in the air and check these planes out, they're not airliners. And it's going on all over the world. Now, this is an example of a big problem we can't solve. Now, there was a guy named Clifford Carnicom that started out in the 90s trying to enlighten people. The website is great. It's carnicom.com. He hasn't made any headway. It just goes on and on and on. And so we try to change things for the better, and what happens? It never seems to work out. So then we get catapulted back into our little life, where then we got to deal with all the little problems. And, it's getting exceedingly harder to solve little problems because people really, it isn't like you got the local doctor that's going to come over and take care of your daughter if she's sick and knows your daughter. It's all impersonal. I fear going into a hospital. Now, if you ever have a hospital, more people die by going into the hospital because they catch some kind of, disease while they're there. Or the doctor takes the left leg off instead of the right leg or something, These are big, these seem like little problems. Oh, I got a little cold, and they end up dead in 3 days, So what's happened is we've really created a mess. And I know that I'm thinking of my little problems, and I'm thinking maybe you got a few that I can't even come up with. Maybe it has to do with a woman going to her hairdresser and they put that thing over her head and it burns her skull and she can't even get a settlement or something. I don't know. I always wondered about that. They put that thing over their head. What if it burns them? What did they do? It could turn out to be, that's a little problem, but it's big. Get your head in there. But anyway, so you might have little problems. If you want to let me know what they are, I enjoy having company. And you can email me at gregbeacon at gmail.com if I can ever get it now, because I don't have any internet. And I'm putting this on a USB drive and then having to run over to Starbucks or something. They have Starbucks all over the world. So, I think I'll just take out just sit there all day. Okay, so we've solved absolutely nothing today, have we? We're just airing our little problems out. And I find it very interesting that the little guy always seems to lose. And the big people get away with murder. Something seems to be a bit askew in the world today, doesn't it? And they like to shove it in your face. And it gets to a point where you just don't want to listen to it anymore. So the other day I was saying, boy, I wish I was in the 1800s. I got my wish. Even if I go back to 2017, I don't have an internet. So now I'm going to go back to 1961 to visit the Kennedy assassination. And guess what? They didn't have an internet back then, so I'm better off there, right? I know how to use a payphone. I used to use them. And I know how to get around with a map. That's another little problem that I don't think we're ever going to solve anymore. When I grew up, I used to drive somewhere. Let's say I was going to a different state and I had this map out and I'd have to diagram everything and I'd get to a place And I get to I-75 on this one, and I have to stop and ask somebody, hey, Charlie, how do I get to, you just go down to the old tree stop over there, then you turn at the first red schoolhouse, and then you take that first left and you go. They knew where they were going. Now today. It's a little problem that I hate. Unless you got that GPS system in your car that talks to you. You know, the other day I was trying to get somewhere, and I said, hey, do you know? I don't know. I said, do you know? I remember one time, years ago, not that long ago, I was downtown San Diego or downtown New York, and I said, do you know how to get to Broadway and 3rd? No. I said, well, what street are we in? I don't know. So what do you mean you don't know? You gotta know what street you're walking. I don't know. They don't want to tell you where they're going anymore. You can't get directions out of people. You know, it used to be you could even stop a cop. Say, hey, officer, I'd like to know where, now I'm afraid I would not stop a cop. They'd probably think, why? They'd probably pull out their gun and go, he's going to shoot me. He's got an ulterior motive. You can't get directions anymore. What if you don't like to use, and nobody knows how to use a map? Believe it or not, when's the last time you saw a map in the car? And you're driving with your better half, and you go, okay, take that map out and find out where we're going. No. Turn the Jeep. What if you don't have a GPS? Oh, you're screwed. You can buy them for the older cars. Then they don't work half. I've never been able to figure them out to begin with. I really haven't. I've tried them, and I swear to God, occasionally they take me, I just don't trust them. And people are going, oh boy, he's got a problem. But really, they've taken me in the wrong direction sometimes. They're not foolproof. And to get to the big problem is, what do you think, then I asked someone, GPS, Global Positioning System. Okay, how do they do it? And they said, well, there's satellites. And I said, well, there aren't any satellites. They got to do it a different way. He said, no, there are satellites. So here I am trying to solve a big problem, proving to the guy they're not. And he said, well, listen, when I was a journalist years ago, I went to NORAD, and I remember I was on an assignment, and they did everything on a ground-based system, and it hasn't changed. So why would the greatest military in the world have a ground-based system in all of this when they say there's satellites? So GPS is a ground-based system. How they do it? I mean, come on. They can have towers, and they can go here. They got underground cables in the ocean and all that kind of stuff. But I will say to you, there aren't any satellites floating around up where you think they are, because it just doesn't work that way. And that's what I mean. They've got you from the big to the little, right down to the last. Another little problem I have, grocery store lines. I really do. Do you remember when you used to go to the grocery store and the girl actually checks the price and then puts it in a little thing and then puts it on? And then you actually look at it, and then you compare notes, and you made a mistake. It's not $2.99, it's $3.99. Oh, you're so honest, sir. Thank you. Now, who would do that these days? Now it's just these little tags, they slide them through this little thing that's red, and it gives the price. Nobody even looks. And then I go, well, how do they figure out the grapes? Well, they got a weighing thing, and then they got to put in a little code. And, I remember when we used to buy them, there was a little weighing thing, and the grapes were $2.99 a pound, and you bought a pound, they said it was $2.99. Now you go in the grocery line, nobody looks. They could screw you over half the time. I remember one time, they did. They overcharged me. You know how long it took me to get out of that grocery store? About an hour. That is one of the little problems, because it's all technical. There's no people accountable. The girl didn't even know she made a mistake. So then she had to call her supervisor. And the supervisor then had to go, wait a second. Let's go check this, little barcode. And it was like a $12 mistake. It took me an hour to get out of there. I could have made $100 in that hour. These are some of the little problems. Oh, I'm sure you guys got a lot of them. So send me them at gregbeacon@gmail.com, and we'll have some fun with them in another show that I decide to do on the little problems we can't solve in the world and why I discuss big problems. So I figured, hey, if we can't solve the little ones, I might as well go to the big ones. I know I can't solve those. At least I'll feel better. Because every time I can't solve a little problem, I get really frustrated, like this phone thing. It's about to drive me crazy. And immediately after the show, I'm going back to 1961, so I feel normal. And maybe I can really see what happened in the Kennedy assassination. And by the way, I had to go buy some clothes because they thought I looked kind of goofy, you know. And I had to buy one of those little hats, you know, the little short brim hats, very thin tie, thin lapel suit I bought, nicely, you know, shoes with the white socks. You know, the pants a little shorter so you see the white socks. Now I look like, had to cut the hair, you know, no sideburns, the whole works. But what you do for sake of journalism, right? Well, we got about, we got about 6 minutes left. And I'm trying to think of other little problems. I mean, I know in my life I've had more little problems than I've ever, and I just go on to another one. And I forget about that other little problem. Oh, let me tell you this little one. Recently, my computer crapped out. Couldn't use it. And I don't know why, so luckily I found this computer genius. And he put a whole new operating system in. Right? And he said, I tried to fix your Wi-Fi, but it's not working. I said, okay. He said, but I'm selling you a USB little thing, right? So guess what? I buy the little USB thing for $20 on the exchange rate or whatever it was. The computer works great now. Except all of a sudden, the P doesn't work. Yeah. How are you going to work with the P's not working? Somebody said, well, buy one of those things and spray your keyboard. I said, he just cleaned it. He sprayed it. So I pried the key. I figured, well, maybe now I know where the P's at. I hit it and I get it every now and then. Then today, the little slash and the the 0 doesn't work. And now I'm working to get, and that came back. And as far as my little USB thing, it was so small. Why did they make them so small? I lost it. I took it out because I didn't need it. I must have left it on the table. And I've been looking for it, and I can't find it. Now that's the little problems that drive me crazy. So guess what happens? I spent a long time thinking about that. It drove me crazy even when I went to sleep. Where's that little USB thing I bought? They made it so small. Why? Make it big so I don't lose it. You know, put something out, you know. But I spent a lot of time thinking. I went to bed worrying, oh my God, I spent $20 and now look what happened. Now I don't have a Wi-Fi anymore. And I got to go buy another one and I'll lose that one. And now my keys aren't working. After I spent all this money to fix it, now I got to worry about my keys. How can you type when some of them don't work? So I spray it with that little, you know, the air purifier or whatever, get all the dust out. And if it still doesn't work, then they say, well, you got another problem. You got to maybe take the key off. So I pried the key off, and then I bent something, but I got it to work with the little white thing under there. But now the one above it doesn't work. I think it's spreading. It's a disease in my keypad that's going to spread. I will have no keys left. And I'll end up having to buy another computer after I spend $100 thinking that it's all solved. Now, how can a person live with technology anymore? I mean, it's ridiculous. In the old days, the typewriter. Let me tell you this. I never had as many problems with the typewriter as I have with these computers. I can't tell you how much time I've wasted in my life trying to figure out computer problems, and then you meet some guy that knows everything. Oh, it's so simple, just bum, 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 bum. Okay, a new cottage industry has been born, while I am going insane. I hope you're happy with your cottage industry. So that's just another little problem. Oh, I've got many more. So many more. It probably will start to bore you. Start saying, oh my God, this boy was not born under the right star. You know? Well, I guess everybody has their little problems. And I want to know, there's people that have little problems and they solve them. I want to talk to those people too. And then I want to talk to the people that have little problems and they don't solve them, and maybe we could put these people together if they have the same problem, and we'll solve somebody's problem. You see, I've always been this kind of humanitarian in my life. I knew I was called just to help people solve their problems. But one of the really crazy things is I've never been able to solve my own. I guess that's the territory when you start being a journalist. You got so many things you're worried about outside, and then your whole life goes to hell. You don't know how to do anything else. You know? When people are spending time learning how to take an engine apart, a journalist is sitting there going, I think I got to find myself a story today and write it. And people go, there's no money in it. Why don't you learn how to be a mechanic? And you go, I don't know a screwdriver from a hammer. How can I be a mechanic? I'm a writer, a journalist. All right, go your merry way. And you do. And all these little problems that other people solve like that become tremendous for a person like me. So that's why I really did the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe it brought up some problems you have that drive you crazy. I guess we could do a show on how not to let them drive you crazy, but then what fun would life be? You know? Oh, I think I can solve it. I have patience. Don't worry about it. I'll solve it. Just get me out of here. I want to kill myself. All right, folks. I'll see you tomorrow on the Investigative Journal. We'll get on to some bigger and better problems. Back tomorrow.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.